Music by the Cool.
Okay.
Oh, let's do it.
Hello, and welcome to Yes, That's My Kid podcast. I'm
Podcast.
Asia. He's Anthony. And behind the scenes, you already know, is Jacob. Jacob on the track. On Yes, That's My Kid podcast, we talk all things children related through our own lens. We talk about our experience, good, bad, ugly, everything. And of course, we give our opinions. So if you like what you hear, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please spread the word that the good news is in town.
Yes, spread the word that the good news is in town.
Is that a lie? Is that a bar? No?
It sounds like
it's not a good
it sounds
one?
like you're handing out Watchtower pamphlets. But yeah, spread the word, I guess.
Watchtower? Oh gosh. Okay.
Spread the word.
All right.
About Yes, That's My Kid podcast. All right. So let's jump into this. Asia, how are you?
I am swell, darling.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yes, I had a great weekend. If I did not discuss it during last episode, my talented brother, who's a mechanic, won a contest at work, and he can choose to bring people to the casino. Well, he can son that is. And it was basically all expenses paid for the full weekend. We did go-karting.
Fancy.
We did the little ninja wipeout and trampoline park.
Dope.
We went to the Connecticut Suns game, which they won, the WNBA. We saw Derek Fisher twice. I waved, he waved back. Hottie.
He knew what it was.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
He knows.
He knew what it was. I'm surprised he didn't ask you for an autograph.
Boom, right?
Mhm.
Like he could have and should
He
have.
said, "Are you Asia from Yes, That's My Kid podcast?" I'm totally a fan.
Yeah, I know, Derek. I know. But keep it that way over there, okay? Don't want to draw too much attention.
Facts.
Yeah, we also went to a drag show, and it was pretty it was pretty good. Like they only had 4 people performing. One was a newbie, it was their first night. Props for courage of going up. You know, it's hard,
For sure.
but mama needs more practice. The host was Bomb AF. I think her name was like Kenya Monhart, whatever. She was really good. And my mom, her birthday was Thursday, so she also was there for the weekend, and she was feeling nice on the night we went to the drag show,
Let's
and
go.
kept on being like, "It's my birthday." So the host was like, "All right, you want to go on stage? You down for anything?" I'm like, "She's gonna do it."
Oh,
And then
snap.
boom, twerk contest.
Oh,
My
snap.
mom was like, "What?" But let me tell you, she had that leg up on that wall.
Wow.
She wasn't letting that stop her. She
Your mom said,
won.
"Let me bring you back to the 90s."
Right.
Back to the 99.
Yeah. She almost won, but then I guess there was like this young boy, the only male on stage, and he did this weird thing at the end that I guess everybody was going crazy for. It was
it because he was a boy, or was it actually like hitting?
It was not hitting.
Yeah.
Actually, we left, and like a group of ladies was to my mom was like, "You should have won," and my mom was like, "I know, they cheated me. They cheated me." I was like, "Relax."
That was funny. That's what's up, though.
But it was a great weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's pretty dope. Your brother got all expenses paid to go there. That's fire.
All of us. Yeah, they paid for all of
y'all.
us. Yeah,
That's wild.
it was popping. And I gambled a little bit and won on like the penny slots. So all the money that I used to like tip the bellhop and valet people, I basically made back, like broke even for the whole weekend. Yeah.
Oh damn! So you basically went down there and had a blast for free. Literally
for
all
free,
expenses paid.
and free is for me.
Yes. What's your shirt say, by the way?
My shirt says Harriet, Rosa, Shirley, Angela, and Tamika.
Oh, dope. That's fire. I didn't realize they had it. They put Tamika up there. That's what's up.
Yeah. Producer Jacob got it for me.
Wow. When did he get that
friend.
for you? When did he get that? Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a while, right, Jake?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a while. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, maybe like a year or two.
Well, it's still
Why
fire.
you hating?
Yeah, somewhat.
Don't do that. Yeah, he bought you the Black Father shirt.
I was just wondering when it happened.
Okay.
I was wondering around what time frame he got that.
Oh,
now it's only fire though. But good. I'm glad you had a great weekend. It sounds like you had a blast.
Yeah, I think
was that your first time going to a drag show?
I think so. In Miami, they have them out like and the
I don't
doors are
know.
open, you could kind of see them. But I have actually really sat as an audience member. So yeah, that I would say that
Yeah,
was my first time. It was
that's what's up.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was
dope.
entertaining. The host was funny. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. Well, good
Mhm.
for you.
Thanks. I think you also had a great weekend. You were texting us. You think Atlanta's dope
Yeah,
AF.
Atlanta's so fire. I just
Yeah.
love it. Yo, all right. So we went to a restaurant. The vibe was crazy. That was on Sunday. Went to church. Went to a dope church. My brother-in-law's friend opened up a church, started a church up. He was a youth pastor at a different church. He went to a
Mhm.
church. It was fire. It was dope. It's actually in a movie theater. So
Okay.
basically they got it for X amount of hours, and yeah, it was in a movie theater.
Do
After
you want to
that,
shout out the church or?
yes, shout out Shape Church. It was fire. Pastor Manny, his wife, they're both amazing. So we did that Sunday. Then we went
Nice.
to Atlanta Breakfast Club. The vibe was crazy. It was
I've been
dope.
there before.
Yeah, it
It's
was
good
fire.
too. The
Oh
food's
my
good there.
gosh. I got some like peach cobbler chicken and waffles. Delicious. My homie Mark and his wife came down because they had a wedding in Atlanta.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we met up with them, had breakfast there, then we went back to the crib and had and just went to the pool for a while, whatever, and
Yeah.
grabbed some Henny and just chilled and had a good time. Saturday, I forgot what we did, but we did something else that was fun. But at the end of the day, yeah, Atlanta's just dope. Like the culture is
Yeah.
just so fire. Just like you get it. Just like black people being in a room is just a whole vibe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's
Have
just
you
not. It's not just like people just like sitting down. It's just a whole vibe.
It's a party.
Yeah,
We like to
exactly.
have fun.
That's a fact.
Um, have you thought about going roller skating? I mean, I guess there's always been a vibe down there, but like I'm seeing more
Oh
videos
yeah,
just because it's on social media, and I think Usher been
yeah,
doing it up. He
yeah.
look like
Facts.
he know what he doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a big thing down here. So we was actually going as a family with my wife, my sister, both my sister's families. We were going to do that, but it's dumb packed. It is stupid
Mm,
packed, especially on the day. If you go like a Friday evening, stupid
yeah,
packed. Like, and you can't even get in there and like you can't get in there and be no like beginner. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? You can't do that. You can't do that.
Get out the
Um,
way.
Facts, especially if it's like packed like that. So, but yeah, that is something I definitely want to like start at least tapping into during the summer with my daughter, at least once a week or something like that.
Yeah, you got
That's
rhythm,
been on the
or you
mind.
you you just a two step
I
type
got
of
rhythm,
person.
but I'm
Okay,
definitely more of a two step. I probably wouldn't be
okay.
doing all these smooth moves that these boys be doing. I dead ass. I be like practicing the moves in my socks at the crib, and he'd be like, "What are you doing?"
You gotta
I be
be
like,
ready.
"Look at this, look at this. That's what I'm doing." But them dudes is like talented. That's like a whole
Mhm.
vibe for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was my weekend, and it was good though. We've been doing stuff like every weekend for the past I don't know few weeks, about a month or something, and it's just good times.
No, that's what's up though, for real.
Yeah,
I'm glad you are there and living it
yeah,
up in Black America.
yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I'm trying to live in the present and just like
Mhm.
I got my like future goals and all that stuff. Because before I was like always focusing on like I got to do this, I got to get this done,
Mm.
just for like future prospects and future things I want to get done.
Yeah.
But I'm just more so living in the present. I got like most of my investments and stuff set on like autopilot, and like
Nice.
career stuff. I kind of got that on outward looking, but kind of autopilot. But I'm just trying to
Except
focus
for
on the
those
present.
CPE, those
Oh,
education credits.
I gotta do that tonight. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, my joint is it comes to 3 years since I had my PMP, project management professional certification. So I was supposed to get like a bunch of credits done, but I gotta write a bunch of stuff up tonight before they try to kick me out and say I don't got a certification no more. But
Yeah, you're
you know what I'm
wild.
saying? It's all good. But yeah, so that was that. All right, so in your feed,
What's in your feed?
what's in your feed? So Asia, what's in your feed is this. No.
Don't do it.
No, I'm messing. But so there seems to be like a big baby formula shortage, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it actually kicked off back. And my son doesn't do formula anymore. Since he turned 1, and a little before he turned 1, we started switching over to like whole milk.
Yeah.
Um, but we experienced a shortage even then. And I remember going to Target and I took like the last 5 tubs of formula.
Mm.
And that lasted him until he was done with formula. But literally since I took that last bit, there hasn't been any more. And also, that same night when I went to like 4 or 5 different stores, and there were none in there. But then
Mm.
one of them, I went to like Walgreens, and this is when I think Similac had their recall, and you could look up and see, oh, okay, bet. You could look at the lot number and see if it was contaminated. So I looked at the
Mm.
lot number of all the ones that they had, and I had to tell the dude that all these joints was contaminated because they was included.
Wow.
So he took all them joints off the shelf, and then ended up going to Target, finding those, and yeah, and ever since then they haven't had any stock.
Mm.
I know a lot of people are like going with like generic brands of other brands that they wouldn't necessarily go with. So what's your thoughts on this baby formula shortage?
Yeah, you kind of just went in. Um, so yeah, I think it's extremely unfortunate, and I mean, it's really sad because babies are dependent on this. I know that some people are arguing that, oh, just breastfeed. That's what you should be doing anyhow. But those people are dummies, right? Like they don't actually know what goes into breastfeeding. There are many complications that can occur as to a reason why a mother is not breastfeeding. One, there could be latching issues. Another is that the mom can actually produce as much as the baby needs. Like
Hmm.
and like tongue tied, I think is also another situation that a baby can go through as to why they can't actually breastfeed. So the simple solution is not just to breastfeed, and I think that
For
a
sure.
lot of people aren't aware of that. Another point is that moms aren't just stay-at-home mothers anymore, like they used to be, and could tend to their child 24/7, and feed them whenever the child needed to be fed. A lot of moms have to pump, or they're not able to pump and store. They might not have the ability to do so at work. So it's more convenient for them to use the formula to ensure that their child has the necessity of food, right? So I think people just don't understand that feeding an infant is more complex than their initial thought.
For sure.
Um,
No, I
yeah,
definitely agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, so I think it's quite unfortunate. I'm hoping that a solution comes about quickly, and if not that, I mean, including an alternative, like, I think I read there are only like 3 major brands who make
Hmm.
baby formula,
Yeah.
and perhaps there can be some type of, like, plant-based alternative that will be just as effective and can come about quickly.
Sure. That makes sense. I bet there are probably, if not somebody working on it already, there probably are some lesser known brands. But the two that I'm familiar with are Enfamil and Similac.
Mhm.
I don't know the third one, but I know that like some of the stores, like specifically like Aldi's, has like brands, like their store brand type of formula.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, no, to your point, going back to what you said, like it's crazy the amount that goes into breastfeeding, right?
Mhm.
Especially if you're not producing a whole lot, you can't store a whole lot.
Mhm.
And to your point, especially regarding like if your child has a major appetite, then that's tough too if you're only producing but so much. Um,
It's not
yeah,
easy, man. It's really
not at
not.
all.
Like, I breastfed, and it hurts. It's like
Yeah,
I'm telling you, you're on demand. It's
for sure.
really not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And to like how you said, sorry, just to
Hmm.
make a statement. You were saying that I believe Aiden started milk around 1, and I don't know if many people know this, but that's n that's not just, a choice, right? That's mandatory. Like, the doctors don't recommend that you give infants milk before they turn 1.
Hmm.
Like, that's not just like, "Oh, hey," as an alternative, you can just feed your kids whole milk,
Right. Right.
since they're, born. Like, you can't actually do that.
For sure. And I think there's something like you could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but breast milk lacks vitamin D.
It does. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm
Yep.
not sure if that is something that helps the baby like digest it or anything like that. But
Mhm.
going back to your point about, not allowing a child to have a whole milk before 1, that may be a part of it or something like that too. But
Mhm.
but yeah, so yeah, I've never been like an advocate. I never really had a strong feeling about formula or not formula. Like it was whatever for me. I was leaving it up to my wife. Like if she could do it,
Mhm.
then cool, because I can't breastfeed, and if I could, odds are I wouldn't. To keep it 1,000, 'cause that joint takes up time. That joint
Mhm.
takes up so much time, and it's not even just. just pumping or just like
Mm-mm.
just having your baby latch on eventually. It's like just like anything. When you take a break, you got to get ready to take a break. Then you got to get mentally back to getting back what you were doing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole lot. It's a whole
Even
effort.
pumping, like
Yeah.
those bottles, the equipment has to be sterilized.
Mm.
Like it's not just like, oh, let's just pump and hand wash. Like, no, those things have to be clean.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have to keep washing like daily. Like it's, I mean, of course
Yeah.
you wash your things daily, but like to sterilize it is a whole nother aspect of the whole pumping situation. To sit there, put it on, like whether you hold it manually or get a good bra,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah. Now I feel you. But yeah, no, I wasn't pro or whatever for or against because I was fed formula. I think I want to say my Amy was fed formula. I know all my sister were fed formula, so I couldn't care less to be honest. It's
Mm-hmm.
whatever the individual wants to do. But I know there are strong advocates like you need to be giving your kid breast milk.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever, dude. Like everybody, personally, I just feel like I'm fine. My sisters are fine. My family's fine, so we're all good. So I really couldn't care less. But
Yeah.
I got some friends who are definitely like going through it, trying to
Mm,
get formula. Like they hit me up like, "Yo, if you see some formula, can you send it down?" Da da da.
man.
Yeah. So, but shout out to everybody. I hope they are able to manage, and I hope they get
Yeah.
some formula, either new formula brands or these other dudes step it up in whatever way that they can control. I don't even know
Yeah.
the logistics is what's behind it. I think it's like shipping and logistics behind all that stuff. But
I think the
uh,
factories or something with production,
yeah, as well as Similac having a bunch of
which is
contaminated
wild.
lots. Yeah, we had to check all the ones that we had to make sure that the lot number wasn't in that. And then
Mm,
the wild thing is that their initial lots that they said weren't that you could
contaminated.
check. Yeah, some of them ended up being contaminated after the fact.
Mm,
So you might have checked and said, okay, yeah, we're good, but then that one might have came back and said, yeah, never
that
mind.
is crazy.
Yeah. And we didn't even learn about it because we learned about it from Instagram because Amy follows these mothers or whatever,
Mhm.
and she was telling me that like some of the mothers like kids were like feeling super sick and stuff like that,
Mm.
and I think I'm probably butchering it, but some of the kids were affected by those contaminated lots from Similac.
Wow, yeah. I can't imagine. That's wild.
Yeah. So that's what's in your feed. Now moving on to today's main topic. Unfortunately, this week we have been hit with another tragedy, specifically geared towards the black community, in which a white
Mhm.
supremacist ran into a grocery store in Buffalo wearing
Mhm.
full body armor gear and was heavily armed and shot, I
Mhm.
think, 13 people. 11 people, 10 or 11 people died. I think 10 of them
Yeah.
were black. 10
Yeah.
people, okay,
I think 11 of them were black. I think there were
13
13
people that died.
victims. Yeah.
Okay, that got hit.
13
My bad.
victims, 11 of them
Yeah.
were black, I believe.
Okay. Um. So it's just another day in America, and yeah. So I guess so. I kind of broke this. Obviously, this topic is what it is, but
Mhm.
I kind of broke it down into a couple different segments.
Mhm.
Um. But I guess initially, we can get your thoughts. But then the one of the main questions is going to be kind of, um, with your child specifically,
Mhm.
because your husband is white. I guess how do you reconcile, if there is any type of reconciliation, between a white supremacist doing something to what is her other side as well, right?
Mm. My
Yeah.
child is black.
Yes. But your child also also you nut. I'm like
So I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm like that's not incorrect, but there's also more to that.
um, yeah, I think my when Autumn is of age of understanding,
Yeah.
she'll know that these crazy people exist.
Mhm.
To be honest, like I don't know how she would feel internally, right? You
Mhm.
know, I'm not her and I'm not biracial with a
Yeah.
white parent. So I don't know what that conflict will be inside. I can imagine it may be hard if she does in fact identify as biracial. Maybe she will, but you're Black Autumn. I'm so sorry.
I hear Jake snapping in the background. Yo. You
I
guys
play
are too much. Yeah, I'll be doing too much. This dude snapping in the background.
It was. Oh snap!
You silly.
Nice, you crazy girl. But yeah, so no, seriously though, I imagine there will be some internal conflict, but at the end of the day, I think she will hopefully just take it for what it is. Like, these people exist in the world, and my dear, like, although you will have more privilege than those who are of a darker complexion, you still are at the moment visibly not fully white. And if she were there in that scenario, I don't think that man would have said sorry and not have shot her like he did with someone that was there.
Would have like gauge, like, are you?
Yeah, he went and
Yeah.
paused
Right.
like he did for a white man in the store. My a family member had shared a portion of the video in our WhatsApp family chat, and I did press play, and he did actually like point the gun at a white person and was like, "Oh, sorry," and moved
Yeah, I
on.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like if God forbid ever, but she
Yeah,
were in
for
that
sure.
scenario, I don't think that there would be any thinking,
For
and so
sure.
I think that she will walk this earth as a Black woman, or at least knowing that that's how she will be perceived, and to know that there are people who hate her simply because of that fact.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we just started Anaya's just starting to get to the age where like this year she's been like, I don't know, just kind of like more aware of all that. Not necessarily like the negativity, but more so just like acknowledging the differences in races a lot more.
mhm,
Um, but then she also has kind of started grasping, like she'll ask me about like people in the past and stuff like this year she's kind of like been grasping those things more so. And I've been obviously to a kid's level,
mhm,
you have to explain things. And like we spoke about before, I try not to taint her with my perspective, but I try to also relay those facts because just like you said, to your point, if they get caught sleeping because
mhm,
they feel so accepted because they, you know what I'm saying, their tinge is a little different and they feel so accepted, somebody gonna remind them that nah, not
mhm.
quite, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
um so
I think about not to interrupt you. I think
yep,
about
no, you go.
there are people who are actively teaching their children to hate. So in the same vein, I have to teach my child to be aware.
Mm,
For example, I saw on Shade Room a kid. I forgot what state, like where this was located, but this white kid walked to a Black family's home with a whip and was banging on the door and like hit the door
wow.
with the whip. Like I don't know what he was saying. I didn't listen to it, but another part of the video is that the father ended up being arrested because the parent went over to confront him and let him know, excuse me, what his child was doing. And I guess, an argument ensued, and
Hmm.
he put out a gun, threatened the man and the family with it. And the white man's family was around, like his kids, and I believe that the gun dropped, and he almost shot his own daughter. So he was, I believe, arrested for like endangerment of children and having this weapon. But
Wow.
the point of it is that that man is actively teaching his child to hate
For
people
sure.
solely because of their complexion.
For sure.
So I don't want my child to be so naive that
Right.
they think, she thinks that everything's just like rainbows. I don't want to take her innocence away, but I also don't want her
Right.
to just believe that everyone is on the same accord.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. And that's like where the crux is of raising your kid and letting them still be kids and letting them still be
Mhm.
innocent and stuff like that. That's where that kind of like comes into play because that's kind of like what do they call it? Like the kind of the point that we're at, not fully, but we're kind of getting there with Anaya. Like we want to obviously keep her innocent, but we don't want to keep her naive.
Mhm.
Um, and just make sure she's aware and real to the negativity that's out here that, like you said, people are actively pushing, right?
Right.
Because you got to be aware of that stuff. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
think, you can't be sweet in that
Right.
sense. But yeah, so terribly
I
unfortunate. But
yeah.
weapon.
I was gonna say I think this is where a little street smart might come into play. So it's
Hmm.
like our kid could be all of the book smart that they want to be, right?
Hmm.
But there are some things that you will have to be more observant of, and skill set that you typically learn just from living in
Yeah,
certain environments. And we might just have to feed a little bit of that into our children because they aren't in the same
yeah,
environment.
for
So
sure.
yeah.
No, I agree with that. Um, okay, so then the next part of that question kind of goes on to, so per usual, whenever there's like a mass shooting, whether it's black or white, there's always the discussion, or whatever race, right? It's just a mass
Mm-hmm.
shooting, period. Even if it's kids or adults or whatever, there's always a discussion around firearms and guns
Yep.
and gun laws like that. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess not necessarily what are your stance on that specifically, but it'll probably lead into it. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about your kids in the future potentially owning a firearm?
Man, if I'm being honest,
Hmm.
it might come to that. I don't want to have to own a weapon. I don't want to have a weapon in my home because there are so many accidents within the home. Like kids get the gun, find
Hmm.
it, kill themselves, kill another,
Yeah,
or out of anger, someone's just angry about something so small
for sure.
and will threaten your family. Case in point with Rajon Rondo
Hmm.
recently, right, with the
For
weapon
sure.
in front of his children and the mother of his child or children
Crazy.
rather, and or they will actually just end up killing them because the
Hmm.
weapon is there.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to have any of those accidents or I guess I don't want to say spur of the moment, but like a lapse in judgment, if you
Like
want to say.
impulsive incidents.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Impulsive incidents. I wouldn't want to have any of those opportunities within my home. So to answer your question, I I think that it may come to that point, but honestly, when things like this happen, and especially this weekend, I was kind of thinking to myself like, yo, like one is another civil war possible, and two, do I should I really consider moving? Like
Mm.
guns aren't completely avoidable. There are guns everywhere, but there are other countries that have more strict gun laws and
Hmm.
less mass shootings. America, what did I just read? I think
Something crazy.
we're 19 weeks in, I read, and I think we're averaging about 10 shootings a week, I believe, like mass shootings a week, which is ridiculous.
Like, bruh, we just got out of the pandemic, and dudes like was boiling all the
Right.
last 2 years, ready to go. Yeah,
But
no,
it's
it's crazy.
crazy. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
if people are now going to just target predominantly black areas because that's what this white supremacist terrorist has done. He targeted a predominantly black area as per his manifesto. I'm in danger. Like I
for
currently don't
sure.
live in a predominantly black area, but like my family do. I visit them. Like what if
Yeah,
I'm just going to a grocery store? I was just saying to Jake earlier, like now I'm starting to think like wherever I go, and that's something that I guess I'll end up teaching my children, I need to consider exit strategies. I walk into a grocery store, how many interest points are there? Let's consider the load and dark. Like I need to know how I can escape if
hmm,
it comes to that. God forbid, I don't know because sometimes people just lock up in crazy incidences.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you don't know what you were really doing unless you go through it. But like
for sure.
I don't know. How else do you prepare yourself? I really don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, when we go to like any restaurant, building, or anything, I always look at the
Mhm.
exits and everything like that, and that's prepare
Mhm.
like mental notes. And that's just
Mhm.
something I did literally since I was a kid, like just prepare mental notes.
Yeah.
And now just any environment. It could literally be anywhere. It could be a restaurant, whatever, just because things be popping and going crazy.
Yeah.
Amy does it even more than I do. Like she does it. It's like an anxiety thing. So
Yeah.
she'll get her as just laid out. She'll get like how she even wants to walk with the kids, so that way she can grab accordingly, or turn accordingly, or if the baby's in the stroller, like she gets her stuff like on point.
Mhm.
And that's unfortunate, right? That you even have
Yes.
to you gotta operate
Like
like
there
that.
isn't enough stress in the world for us.
Yeah,
Like we don't have our own, mental health issues or trauma that we're going through. On top of that, we now have to think about how we can escape
yeah,
in
yeah.
an unfortunate event.
hmm So, going back to your point about what you mentioned about potentially thinking like, the thought coming through your head of if you should even stay like in the
Mhm.
country, go somewhere else. I think that's a realistic thing, right? I think that
Mhm.
that granted gun laws are different in other areas, but also the sensibilities around guns of the average citizen is different too.
Mhm.
Um, like I hear, strangely enough, and I shouldn't say strangely enough, but for example, I hear about stabbings or something like that in
Mhm.
relation to other countries. I really can't say that I hear many stabbings here, because
Mm-mm.
a gun is so prevalent. So let me just grab this joint. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I hear
And
more about
instant.
yeah,
A gun is
yeah,
prevalent
for
and
sure,
instant. It will
for
get you
sure.
what you're seeking.
Yes, and it could potentially get you what you're not seeking and hit somebody else.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I'll hear stabbings, but I still won't even hear the incidents nearly as much as like gun incidents, right?
Mhm.
So so to your point, I definitely think it's a twofold thing. It's the laws, but I also think it's like sensibility um of the average citizen, and I don't know, just like the makeup of what of those other areas.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But so going back to kind of answering my original question, when my
Yeah.
kids do come of age, I think I will want them to be armed. I'm armed,
Mhm.
and that's just
And
more so
dangerous.
I mean, yeah, I guess everybody who's armed is freaking dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just more so me operating because at the end of the day, ideally, I would like for everybody to be cool and nobody
Yeah.
necessarily need one. But it's just me operating within the confines of reality that I'm living in, which is living in
Mhm.
America, where niggas is targeted. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's really why I would be like, all right, bet like you guys need to get one. But I will say, I wouldn't me personally, and I guess I'll have to see how they are when they're at that age. I definitely wouldn't push for one when they're like 18 because I definitely should not have had one, and I didn't
Mhm.
when I was 18. Like that would not have been the move for me to do.
Yeah.
Um, as an adult with kids and stuff, the first firearm I got was when I had my daughter, and that was
Mhm.
just because I was in a much clearer mindset and like, all right, I
Mhm.
just gotta be ready, just protecting my family and that's in any scenario like that.
It's
But
so sad to live that way, though. And not saying like
yeah.
not you specifically, just like in general. It's crazy that that has to be the thought process. And just imagine actually having to use it and potentially killing someone. You're
Mhm,
like I. Some people might be okay with it to know, like I did what I had to do, but to actually kill someone, if
mhm.
you have to, has to. I don't know, and to live with that. I think that would be really hard
Yeah,
to go through for the rest of your life.
I think people talk a big game of like, yeah, I would do whatever I gotta do, da, da,
Yeah.
da. I think people talk a real big game, but to really live with the effects of that after, and I'm talking average everyday person
Yeah.
who's living their life, going to work. I'm not talking about
Mhm.
somebody who's involved in that type of lifestyle,
Yeah.
but your average everyday person who just goes to work, has kids, family, goes to cookouts and stuff like that. Average everyday person. I definitely think that could cause
It
and
would.
would cause some type of ridiculous trauma. Like
Yeah.
there's people who are more familiar with that type of, I'll say, come from that cloth of being familiar with that type of environment,
Mhm.
who can't sleep at night because the stuff it eats them up,
Exactly.
so
Like, you'll replay that in your head over and
yeah,
over, like PTSD. I
for
couldn't
sure.
imagine. I wouldn't
Yeah,
want to ever have to.
yeah. But I think for me and mine, like we spoke about before, I'm more of a black and white binary type thing, and it's
Mhm.
like, all right, bet I'd rather deal with that than have to deal with an alternative
Mhm.
of like not being here or having one of my family members not be here.
Yeah, I hear that.
But and that really, like I said, that's just operating within the reality of America. Everybody,
Yeah.
but one thing I will say is like, and this is getting into what I was saying about your stance and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, You gotta be real, like, and I know a bunch of people. I got homies who are really into guns and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
bruh, like, who need an AK-47?
Bruh.
Who needs a Uzi? Who needs any of that? Like,
You don't. You
what are we doing
don't.
with that?
Like
Like, that's
that's what like maybe guns aren't going away, but why do we need those type of guns? And for people to be like Second Amendment, the right to have a gun, like,
what protection?
bruh,
What are you
what are you
protecting?
doing? Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you're going to war with who?
that's what I'm saying. Like I
Your neighbor? Like, stop.
yeah. Oh, going back to you mentioned like Civil War earlier. Why'd you mention that?
Because like basically it's if people are really going to just be targeting specific people, I believe it could potentially turn to that. Like what you're saying
Okay.
right now is that all right, I need a gun to defend myself. My children will probably need a gun. More people are having that thought. More people are going to have guns. And eventually it might just turn to like, it is what it is. Let's go to war. Like, like, let's go. Like, this is my
Yeah.
group of people. I got
Yeah.
chapters in all these states. We're coming and we just like murking stuff right now. All
Yeah.
like, and what are you going to do then? Like, God forbid, but it may turn
Yeah.
into something like that.
Yeah.
Like, because it's just more guns on top of more guns. Like people are like, more guns. We all need more guns. And then what does that actually turn into? Everybody just a shootout?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel you. The reason I asked is because, going back to, everybody saying like, oh yeah, it's amendments, da da da. I guess the amendment was originally put there to have protection against the government. So that's why I asked what you meant in return to. You're talking about civil war, literally against neighbor against
yeah.
neighbor. I wasn't sure if you meant like civil war against like government. As I was asking.
No, I don't really
You
think
think
so.
that's less?
But
You
also,
think that's less likely than the option you gave?
yeah, I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also, I feel like you go to war with the government's gonna win. I do. I absolutely believe that.
Yeah, yeah,
But also, like the Second Amendment was written in what year? I'm not a history buff. I actually hate history.
yeah,
But like when the Second Amendment was
yeah.
like written, what were the guns? Like these little pellets you have to
Muskets, yeah.
put it like,
That
bro,
you could survive from
right?
with probably
Like,
without surgery in some cases.
come on, it's
Yeah,
not even comparable. Like, what are we talking about here? People still defending it hard. That's a constitution.
yeah.
Like, all right, what else do you know about the Constitution? Tell me what the
About
Second
that.
Amendment says verbatim, since you're so in love.
that's, that's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah, now I feel you with that. Yeah, now it's wild times. And you know what? I'm curious, so when these things happen, are you the type to kind of like get outraged from the jump? And if so, or if not, how is that going to lend itself to you discussing that any of these things, if you do, with your daughter?
Um,
When she's of age, obviously. She's 1.5, so give it, I'm saying?
yeah, I think I've become a little less outraged the more it happens, right? You kind of become a little numb. Also, I think I've stated before, if I really allow myself to go there, I am going
Mm.
to be in a terrible state of mind. I
Oh my
like
gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
to deal with daily life will be extremely hard for me. It has happened before,
Yeah.
and so like when these things happen, even though it is more of a numbing feeling, I still believe that I'm impacted. Like I'm going through some type of trauma
Hmm.
because I see myself or my family in these people. I am now thinking about it constantly, even if I may not speak about it, like I have thoughts about it, whether or not they're fleeting. And
Right,
so
right.
I am negatively impacted by these events.
Hmm.
So when it comes to, I guess, like bringing it up with my daughter, like the conversation will have to be had. There's no
Yeah.
way that she's not gonna know about these events. Like someone will bring it up in school, even if I don't. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be known. There's social media, like she would know about it. So I believe I will have to talk about it, but I don't know how to address it to in a way that she's not also going through the same thing. Like I
For
like
sure.
there's so much other stuff we already have to deal with just living. Like
Right, right.
and now I have to constantly think about whether or not I may be in a situation where I may die.
Yeah.
Like I don't I it's too much. It really
Yeah.
is too much.
No, I feel you. You know,
Mhm.
I asked my daughter is very empathetic. She's super
Mhm.
empathetic, very like affected by things, right?
Mhm.
So she's affected by how people feel. She's affected by what people are going through and
That's a
stuff like that.
lot.
Yeah, so much. And I'm not like that. So I think that's one of our areas of like discourse a little bit. Is I'll be like, honey, just stop worrying about it. Like it's not don't worry about it. You know what I mean? That's always been my thing. Don't worry about it. Like because that's what you have to do in order to get through
Yeah,
life
to
a lot of times.
survive.
Yeah, you got to do that to get through life. So yeah, so I guess I'm not sure how much I'll relay personally. I'm sure she'll hear things as she gets older and when major events and stuff like that come up, but I know
That's gonna be
she's
so hard on her.
internalizes things. Yeah, because she'll be
Mhm.
like, so they don't like me, they wouldn't like us because we're brown or whatever.
Mhm.
And I know like that'll make her feel some type of way. And she'll just like it I see it now when she's thinking about things. Like she'll just literally just sit there and I'll be like, babe, what you think about? And then she'll tell me.
Mhm.
And it's just all that stuff is unfortunate. But I'll say that one of the reasons I had started therapy was because I always say like just as a black man, and that's I'm speaking on that because that's me, right?
Mhm.
Going through
We can
life.
see that.
Well, I'm not gonna
I
speak
know,
on
I
them.
know.
Yeah, yeah. So going through life just with the everyday stuff, right? Everyday
Mhm.
stuff, all the nonsense politics of of
Mhm.
of just living life and all the nonsense that comes with it. It's like you're already kind of like on edge a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's always a super and I wasn't in the best frame of mind, I'll say, in terms of being able to manage certain things if they were to come up.
Mhm.
Because it's like I feel like you're always just like on this thin line between like snapping and being cool. You know what I mean? It's just a super thin
Yeah.
line of like being regular every day and just losing it. And to be real, like for certain people and stuff like that, I see on the news, I'd be like, damn, like I get it. Like
Mm.
I get why you snapped because everyday life is tough. And then when you got not even just everyday life, and then if you got specific, particular, you getting targeted for stuff like that,
Yeah.
then it's like, all right, you could just snap just like that. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that because I mean, as a black woman, I mean, on top of racism, there's sexism, there's
Mm.
like stuff that goes on within our own community that, we have to deal with. There's there's a lot, man.
Yeah. Don't be too
There's a
much.
lot. It's
and
too
that
much.
and now you're dealing with everything else. You know what I'm saying? With
Right.
mass shooting
On top of
specifically
that,
because you know what I'm saying?
right. Like and even on stuff that like human beings period just deal with like is
Yeah.
also layered on,
Right.
like it's
Right.
what like things could be so easy, people, but you
Facts.
rather make it hard.
Facts. I literally just be like,
What are we
bruh, can you
doing?
like what are we doing to just like leave us alone.
Right.
like,
Just
like just
come
leave
on.
us
This
alone.
this kid was talking about I don't even he's an 18-year-old supremacist. I'm not
Yeah.
giving him the title of kid. And I
Yeah.
I don't even think that he was so much insane. This was premeditated.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say about this? Oh yeah, he had this replacement theory. I don't even know what it's about. He just feels like
Oh yeah, something
people
like
are
that.
trying to overtake the white race. Like, go do something
Nobody's
with your life. Like, we're
yeah.
not. Like, you think that we
You
think about that?
I'm about to
Like,
say
go
you
have
are
kids.
I'm about to say you are so narcissistic if you think we
Right.
really sitting here saying, how can we take over this country in
Right.
numbers?
Like,
Like,
stop
bruh, we're not doing that.
at all. If you are so concerned, go have some babies, my guy. You
How about
can.
facts?
I,
And if you're so concerned, if you think that's what we're thinking about, go to one of our cookouts or something like that and see
please.
what we're talking about. Because
It's
that's
not
the last
that.
thing we're talking about.
It's not
You know what I'm
that.
saying? We ain't
We're
talking about
truly not
none of
worried
that
about it.
at all.
Like
In the slightest.
boy, we try to make it by and have
Facts.
fun with our life. Like
Mm-hmm.
is what you're talking about, you and your group of people over there. Like if you watch this,
Yeah.
don't come for me, first of all.
Facts.
But second
Facts.
of all,
No.
I'm not
I live in
provoking
Seattle.
you. I'm
Yeah, I live in
not
Seattle.
provoking you. I'm just letting you know we're not thinking about that stuff. So you guys are A-okay over there.
For sure.
If after Sandy Hook,
Mm.
you guys truly felt that we did not need to change anything
Mm.
when it comes to guns,
Yeah.
then what do you really care about? Power and money? Like
Yeah.
you act like You care about the children, especially these pro-life people, again, to this point, but you truly do not care about the children who are living, because how do you still advocate for guns when something like Sandy Hook occurred, where it gets no more innocent than these children,
For sure.
and some person went in and killed them?
Yeah. Yeah, that joint make me want to throw up. I can't even imagine. I don't want to ever imagine. But I don't even know. I don't even want to think about
Like,
that, to be honest. That's
I
too much.
don't. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So yes, as we wrap up this topic, what are some things to consider? Quality of life. Honestly, quality of life. Like, I don't know, think about what you want to teach your kids, and how to, keep them happy at the same time. Like, be real with them, but also try to make sure that they're enjoying life and not being worried about life every day. I think that's like what we can take away from this conversation. Like, it's a balance.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's going to be hard to do, but hopefully we figure it out, and hopefully
Facts.
you figure it out. And if you do, let us know what you're doing to make sure that your child still lives a life worth living.
All right, here we go. So you ready for this?
Red Day.
All right, dad joke of the day. What do you call an obese psychic?
Obese psychic. Out of this world. Obese psychic. Fat know-it-all. Obese psychic. You can't tell the future. Sat on a rainbow and Skittles popped out.
You just saying shit.
I know. Obese psychic. Burgers for the future. Is this terrible? Am I doing terrible things?
I think you're actually thinking about it. This one's actually kind of simple, but I wouldn't have got it.
Really?
Yeah.
Obese
I'm almost
psychic.
positive Mike's gonna get this. I'm almost positive he's gonna get this one.
Overweight future. Overweight thoughts. Obese psychic. What's the question again?
You just said it. What do you call an obese psychic?
What do you call an obese
obese
psychic?
5,
Oh
4,
man.
3, 2, 1.
Cleo. Miss Cleo.
No. A fortune teller.
A fortune teller.
Teller.
Fortune teller.
Fortunes.
Fortunes.
Teller.
Okay.
That's pretty good. All right.
Yeah, all right. That was a
another
hard one.
Yeah.
Fortune teller.
I kind of think Mike would get that one. I wouldn't have got it, but I kind of think he might have gotten it.
Fortune teller.
Okay. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds for this.
Oh my gosh.
What do you call a mom? What do you call a mom who turns into a dad?
Single mothers.
That's ignorant. That's a good one, though. That's a good one. 10, 9, 8, 7.
Okay.
5,
wait.
4.
Wait. A mom who turns into a dad.
5, 4.
Mother, father.
3.
Mother,
2,
fucker.
1. No, not motherfucker. I'm not gonna lie. Your jump be clever though. You be good. You be good with yourself though. Like they be wrong, but you be on point with them. The answer is transparent.
Transparent. Oh man, I was kind of close, but I said a derogatory term.
Nah, you was hitting though. Like you was getting some good ones. Like you was actually putting some real thought into these joints. I would just have some wax. So, all right. So that's our dad joke of the week.
Yeah.
Asia, you want to send us off?
And this is Yes, That's My Kid podcast. That's what you were listening to. Again, Yes, That's My Kid podcast. And we thank you for getting to this point and listening and rocking with us daily or weekly, rather. It might be daily if you're catching up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you haven't listened to everything, go back. Go back and catch up, my man. Do it. And again, we appreciate you guys. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Facts. Appreciate y'all. All right,
Yeah.
peace. Yes, that's my kid podcast.